Okay, hello everybody, welcome to TìandTarot, or welcome back to TìandTarot if you've been here before. So today's reading is going to be a little bit different because I want to kind of do like a almost like quick fire tarot reading. And the reason I want to do this is because I did this for myself yesterday and it was actually super helpful. So I just thought this might be a type of reading that can be quite helpful to you guys as well. So instead of picking a pile or a crystal or a zodiac sign, what I want for you guys to do today is to try to tune into your intuition, trust your gut, and pick a rune based on which one you're drawn to. So we've got 4 runes for you to choose from today. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the reading is about what you need to hear right now. So for the first rune, this is the Berkano rune, and it's about rebirth and new phases, either in projects or relationships. This is the Gebo rune, and it's about gifts, gratitude, and exchanges, as well as receiving through sacrifice and offering. This is the Thurisaz rune, and it's about a defensive force or a disruption that's quite big. And this is the Kenaz rune, so it's representative of like a torch, and it's about controlled energy, passion, creation, and transformation. Once you've picked your rune, go down into the timestamps in the description box below to find your reading, and I will meet you there. Bye! Okay, hello my pole ones, welcome to your reading. So this is all about what you need to hear right now from Spirit. So we're just going to pull a few different cards to get a few different messages. Which I'll then interpret in a kind of like rapid fire way. It's not like super rapid fire, but in terms of like, I'm just going to kind of get 1 or 2-ish messages from each card, rather than kind of delving deep into all the different ways that you can kind of interpret the cards. I'm just going to go into what I'm feeling first and foremost straight away and kind of stick to that. It would be good to kind of have a situation in your mind or a feeling in your mind or something you're worried about or thinking about, so that when I interpret these cards, you can kind of attach it to that, because I was thinking of a specific thing when I asked what I needed to hear right now. Okay, so we have the Hunter in reverse with superfootedness and predestination. We have the Captain with taking command. We have the Fate with accepting help and guidance. And we have the Hound in reverse with loyalty, chains, and promises. Okay, so straight away what I'm kind of seeing is that the situation you're in right now is very fated for you. It's supposed to happen. So even if it feels uncomfortable or maybe doesn't feel right, just trust that this is for a reason and there is something to learn here. But essentially there's going to be like a shift in or a reversal in roles. Maybe you've dropped down from a higher position to a lower position where you were maybe more in charge and now you're feeling a little bit more vulnerable, or like you're the kind of amateur again and you have to learn to be the leader again, or the manager or the mentor. So there's a transition that's happened, and this is there to kind of teach you to collaborate with people better or to create better connections and understanding between you and others. So even though it can feel kind of shaky and scary, this is for a purpose. You feel vulnerable because when you're in a position where it's like you being led by like a manager or like, you know, someone above you, the fate of your existence feels like it's in their hands, which isn't the case. You very much have control here, but it feels that way. It almost feels like you've lost control and that you are fearful of that, or that could cause you to react in a big way, or you feel like you have little control. But actually your connections with others and your collaborations, your connections, good standing with people is kind of the key to your strength here, and it's the key to you feeling comfortable again. We also have happiness in reverse. We have frustration in reverse. We have validation in reverse. We have forgiveness in reverse, and we have power in reverse as well. Yes, there's definitely something about you feeling powerless right now. I'm especially getting that with the Hunter in reverse, because it feels like you're kind of the one being preyed upon almost. And then also with the Hound, with that big reaction being in reverse, it's like that loss of control and someone having something over you, and for that reason you might have these kind of like big reactions. But yeah, what I'm seeing is there needs to be a transition or a flip of some kind in order for you to kind of feel better in this situation. So for example, you see here with the hands, they're like puppeteering this way and then they're going to go this way. Like that's usually what you do when you're kind of puppeteering something or making something or crafting something. The hands twist constantly. So there's a change that's necessary. There's a flower being placed into this person's hand. There's someone here kind of putting a hand on this person's back that they don't see coming as they're about to put a hand onto this person's head. So it's almost like there's going to be a shift that you're not seeing, where you're going to get the recognition and the validation you need in order to reverse this kind of frustration and this fear and lack of power that you're feeling. There's this weird thing where you're kind of dependent on this other person or these people that are above you. You're kind of dependent on what they tell you to do, their validation, and that's making you feel powerless. But it's not beyond repair. I feel like this isn't a relationship that is weighing you down that permanently, if that makes sense. I feel like it's just uncomfortable for you because you're not used to it. You're not used to having your emotions in the hands of somebody else. And so it's not that there's anything wrong with that. It's that once you get used to it or see it differently, you might feel better about it. And then there's space there for forgiveness and for feeling happier. But something needs to shift first. So we have Dawn in reverse. We have the Lupin in reverse. We have the Page of Summer in reverse. Oh, sorry, upright. Got used to saying all the reverses there. We have the Star. And we have the King of Spring. I think with Dawn in reverse, we're kind of getting this idea that you're not applying yourself, and that might be one of the problems here. It is very much within your power and within your capability and within your control to accomplish your dreams. It is literally, you have all the tools you need. You have everything you need, and you might not realise it. You might even be your own catalyst to your difficulties and your struggle right now, and you almost need to get out of your own way. And so when I say you have everything you need to get what you want, if you're the one causing it, you have everything within you to stop causing it. It's hard and it's tough, but there is that possibility and that future and that potential to reverse whatever it is you're doing, so that you can start going towards your dream and feeling more comfortable. You need to start seizing the day and seizing opportunities, because at the moment you're not. And it's interesting because we've got these kind of sewing scissors, these like little shears here, and someone is kind of controlling your future. These are your fate lines being trimmed and twisted, right? But then over here in the Dawn card, we've got, again, scissors with the red thread, same thing. It's your fate. And you're kind of sitting on it. You haven't picked up the scissors. You're not taking back control. You're not using it. You've just kind of left it there sitting and waiting. Every day you have the potential when you wake up to twist and turn the threads of your fate. And if you're sitting on it, of course, you're not going to move in the direction you want to. You have to kind of move them and twist them and whittle that future for yourself in order to manifest your dreams. And that dream is very much within your capabilities. But at the minute, you've got your head in the clouds a little bit. You've almost pretended like you have less power than you do, or you're acting that way, or trying to almost convince yourself that way, that you have no control and this is just happening to you and that's the way it is, because that's easier. That's the easier route for you. And so you don't actually want to look at the dawn. You don't want to see what you could do. And this is the message you need to hear right now, is actually that you have all the power to do that. And every dawn comes every day, and you have the potential every day to change things and to look towards your future and your success with that sun there, and face it head on and embrace it with a lot of happiness, rather than hide from it and face the other way and hide your face in the flowers. you have the potential to make what you want out of this situation better. Okay, so that is what I see for you, pile 1. I hope you enjoyed this quickfire round tarot reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, as it really helps the channel out. If you were drawn to any other piles, you're welcome to check those out now. And if not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesday and Thursday for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, welcome pile 2 to your reading. So, what I'd like for you to do is kind of have a question in your mind, or a situation or a thought, something to ask about, so that as we're asking, you can kind of apply it to your situation, as that's what I did when I did this kind of quick fire round for myself too, is that I had something in mind. So make sure you've got something to ask or think about, and it doesn't have to be too specific. You can just leave it as, you know, what do you need to hear right now? And what I mean by kind of me doing like a quick fire reading is that rather than dwell on like every single angle of what these cards mean, I'm just going to kind of draw 1 or 2 conclusions and dive into those and give you my quick interpretations, so that we're not stalling and lingering and like losing the point, which I think I do all the time. So let's start here. So we have the Thief, seizing the moment and selfishness. We have the Champion, achievement and downfall. We have the Sailor, new influences and wanderlust. We also have the Brawler, lack of empathy and confrontation. Okay. I feel like there's something that you want, that you're trying to get, that you're actually being too aggressive towards, especially with this tumultuous sea, and you might be really well adapted to that. You might be someone who is very much like a go-getter, who kind of, without realising maybe, or with realising, steps on people's toes. So like, for example, like an Aries, someone who is used to just going like straight ahead, ramming into the things they want without considering whether or not that's going to hurt the other person or the thing that they're going after. You know, a ram and a ram might butt heads because that's what they do and that's their way of communicating and getting along. But if a ram tried to headbutt, I don't know, a goat, is that goat going to take it as well? Because it's not the same thing. It's not the same person with the same kind of outlook on life. So you might be going after something in a way that is not compatible with others, is not empathetic. And even though it might be very successful for you in a material way, it's not going to be successful for you in an emotional way if you're being demanding or trying to get what you want in a very aggressive, assertive, kind of dominant way. We also have Power. We have Blame in reverse. We have Disappointment in reverse. And we have Criticism in reverse. I think one of the main problems is you're surrounded by a lot of people pleasers, people who won't call you out. You might be someone who's on top of the pyramid, and so literally no one wants to call you out because you own everything that they need. You have everything they need, and so they might blame each other, but they won't blame you. They won't look at you and blame you. You've got all the power in this situation. Whatever the situation is, you own it, you dominate it, and so there's no blame coming your way, there's no criticism, and for that reason there's no self-reflection. There's no, maybe I'm doing things wrong, maybe I'm being too intense. There's no self-reflection, there's no introspection there. You're just kind of taking and then not understanding why that's resulting in ruin. With the death of that flower there, you don't understand why you can't keep the things you grab, and it's because you've grabbed them too hard. This person has pulled this flower out of the ground. They haven't nurtured it and carefully dug out the roots to replant it somewhere else. They've just pulled it because they wanted it, and then it's died and they've not realised why, or why there's a problem. And it's because they're not pausing to think about things, and they're yielding their power too liberally, without pausing and being empathetic and thinking about it. And as much power as you may have, this is actually causing you to be powerless, because now you're not thinking and considering the future outcomes of things, so that means you're losing control of that future. We have the Divine in reverse. We have the Lupin. We have the Goldfinch in reverse. We have the Two of Spring. And we have the Forget-Me-Not in reverse. Yeah, it might feel like you're not very lucky. So what I'm seeing is that you're kind of, especially with the Divine in reverse, you're lacking the wisdom it takes to be in the position you're in to steer it correctly, to steer it well across this sea, to handle things well. You're being confrontational with certain situations where maybe you should be more tactful, and this is resulting in a few issues. So here you've got the champion, but they're chained up. Are they really a champion if they have no control? So you feel like you're powerful, but without the wisdom to go along with it, without the know-all of how to handle these situations, you're not handling these situations well, and then that's leading to a lack of power. You might have or think you have everything you need on paper, but there's something you're missing. That's why we've got the Forget-Me-Not here in reverse. You need to remember something. You need to remember other people, their feelings, stay present, and you need to continually grow in the place that you're in. It's not like you get there and you stop. You keep growing, you keep learning, you keep reflecting, because that's exactly what helps you keep moving on your journey. That journey is stagnant at the minute. It's almost like you're out of luck. And you need to reverse that luck by continuing to grow and take into consideration other people's opinions and their lived experiences, and listen to others and be considerate in that way. And don't get me wrong, it took a lot of skill to get where you are, a lot of talent, a lot of confidence, and you're very successful. There's just this one thing. If you're wondering, hey, why does this thing that I care about, or these things I care about, never work out when I go after them? And it's because of the way you're handling the situation. So yes, you are very skillful and very successful and talented and confident, but there needs to be more than that in order to keep things alive and keep things going and progressing. There's no growth where you are right now. I do feel like this has something to do with partnerships, especially with that Two of Spring there. I feel like it might have something to do with you having the material success or the success on paper, career success, but when it comes to your interpersonal relationships, your connections with others, or romantic partnerships or friendships or work relationships, something is falling short, and it is definitely the approach. It's too forward, it's too much, it's very extroverted. And maybe it's time to read the room and see if the people in the room are just as extroverted as you, and how they would actually prefer to be responded to. There's like this idea that there's four parts of your brain, and we all lead with a different part, and you kind of have to mimic that other person's part or counteract that part with the complete opposite part of it, in order to meet them where they're at. So let's say let's just say you're like a fiery red Aries and you're always like go, 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 very intense. If that person is like a gentle water sign and they're quite sensitive and there's nothing wrong with being sensitive as in tune with your emotions, they're quite internal, they're quite self-reflective, and you come in guns blazing, demanding things of them, you're going to rub them the wrong way. But if you match them and realise this is a sensitive person, let's lead the conversation with sensitivity. Let me ask, how they would feel about doing something, because we're leading with feeling and emotion, because that's what a water sign is. They're more likely to respond to you better. So it's just about reading the room and reflecting on who you're talking to, and also respecting them and their boundaries and who they are, and having empathy towards that person as well. So that was your whip round reading pile 2. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you were drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye. Okay, hello pile 3, welcome to your reading. So this is going to be a quick fire reading where I'm just going to pull a few different meanings from the cards, not too many. That way we stay on track with the key message and you get some quick advice for a situation, and you get to hear what you need to hear right now. Now, it would be up to you, but you can either just hear what the cards have to say, or you can try to think of a situation or a question that's on your mind that you want to know more about, or get some advice on, because this might help with that. So it's up to you. For me, when I did this for myself yesterday, I did have a question in mind, and that just really helped in terms of providing a bit of a solution for me and a bit of perspective. Okay, I felt all of those. So let's start here. Okay, so we have the Assassin with ruthlessness and conviction in reverse. We have the Sleeper, cause and effect and clarity in reverse. We also have the Smith, overthinking and taking action. We also have the Herald, with small regrets and longing. We have the Wise One with tradition and order. We have the Acolyte with new projects and learning. We also have the Sailor with new influences and wanderlust. Okay. So, to tell you what I'm seeing right now, I think you're kind of in your blue energy right now, and by that I mean you kind of want to get things done and progress very quickly towards something, but it's actually going to take a little bit of a journey, especially with this Sailor, and you're going to be drawn in loads of different directions, I think, because of just your passion and your interests. And as a bit of an acolyte, as like someone who learns and takes in knowledge, you do get passionate about the new things that you kind of pick up along the way. So you're going to be picking up lots of different skills, but something to watch out for is definitely with blue energy people, you have a tendency to overthink, and for that reason take very little action towards what it is you want. You can kind of become indecisive and not know what direction you want to go towards. So a message here is to try and keep your internal compass and go after what it is you genuinely want. You might experience little bits of regret, or what if there's a path you wanted to go down that you didn't in the end go down. But you know what you want and you know what's right for you, so you're just going to follow your gut and trust that you're going to be led down the right direction based on what it is you want. But you need to avoid this inaction and this lack of clarity on your situation and on where to go. You might be feeling quite indecisive, but the ironic thing is you actually have everything you need to pull yourself in the right direction. You have everything you need to steer this boat. You have all the wisdom you need to go after the things you want and study and learn and draw all that in. It's just this little like niggle of regret that surrounds you like a cloud, and it literally makes you inactive towards what it is you want. Okay. So we have resentment in reverse. We have release in reverse. We have rejection in reverse. We have resilience in reverse. There's something key about losing a piece of yourself. It's almost like this loss is necessary to your progress in this situation. You may actually need to lose a piece of who you are or a piece of yourself and forget it and move on from it and transform. But there's resistance to it, and I don't know why you're resistant to it. There's a sense of a release needs to happen. You need to let something go. You need to take away a piece of yourself. There's two cards here where a piece is missing, and it's a lack of rejection. There's something you need to reject within yourself. There's a lack of resilience because you're not saying, okay, yep, let's take that and go and move on. And so for that reason, you're not being very resilient. You're not releasing. And then on top of that, you haven't identified what this thing is with the resentment in reverse here. You've actually not acknowledged what this thing is that needs to go, but something's holding you back here. And I actually think it might be your overthinking combined with your inaction. So when you're a very intelligent person, you like to get things done and you like to do them right, and you're kind of like a bit of a perfectionist. And so if you fear that something isn't going to be perfect on this journey, that something's going to hinder that, you get defensive and you become a force in your own way. And you're so concerned about not executing it well that you just don't execute it at all. And this is something that needs to go. That perfectionism, that overthinking, that lack of action, that needs to move, because otherwise you're not going to keep moving along your journey. We have Forget-Me-Not in reverse. We have the Eight of Spring in reverse. We have the Ace of Winter and the Goldfinch, but the Goldfinch is in reverse. Yeah. Once you remove that thing about yourself, once you forget it, you need to completely eradicate it from your life. Remove it. It needs to go. Because at the minute, it's not moving you on your journey. Because you're holding on to this aspect of yourself, you're affecting negatively your own luck. You're affecting the movement and the progress of your own journey, and you're affecting your internal growth. And for that reason, it's not initiating the success you're looking for, especially financially, because I think you almost get in your own way. There's something you're sitting on that you're not doing, that if you actually work towards it and put effort in and allowed yourself to act with all these amazing qualities that you have over here, if you allowed yourself to act, it would begin that financial journey for you. It would begin that success for you. But you're not allowing yourself to act because of all of the reasons I just mentioned. And for that reason, it's hindering your journey. There's a lack of action going on. And for that reason, you can't make progress in your journey. Your journey's on pause. To overcome this lack of action, you need to release what is causing it, which is your overthinking and your perfectionism. It's fantastic to have this kind of blue energy that you've definitely got, but you actually need to mix a little bit of either action red in there so that you get going, or that more thoughtful down-to-earth green where you would still get things going, still get things done, but you would be doing things the right way and at your own pace and with consideration to the fact that you're human and errors are a part of the journey. I think you're really afraid of small regrets, and for that reason you're not moving, and then that's creating a sense of longing because you just want to get there, but there's something standing in your way, and that thing is you, unfortunately. But on the plus side, because it's you standing in your way, you have the key to your success, because all you need to do is get out of your own way. And it sounds easier said than done, but at the same time, it is doable. Okay, so you have everything you need. You're in control here. If you're the one standing in your way, move. That's all you have to do, is move out of your own way. And then you can start progressing in what it is you wanted to do and learn and grow in and become an expert in. You can't start building this success until you get rid of that. Okay, so that was your quick what you needed to hear right now message from me, Pile 3. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you felt drawn to any other piles, feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesday and Thursday for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye! Okay, hello my Pile 4s, welcome to your reading. Very rare pile if you have picked this one, because I very rarely do a Pile 4. So today's reading, which is all about what you need to hear right now, would be a really good opportunity for you to have something in mind, a situation that you want advice on, something that's going on in your life that you just want to hear a little bit of wisdom about, as that's what I did when I did this little reading for myself. I did have something in mind, which just really helped to draw this reading to something and connect it to something. But if you don't have anything on your mind, that's absolutely fine. You can just take the messages that I give you today. But on top of that, I'm just going to be doing a light interpretation of each card, not going too deep, just so we can try and stick to the message that I'm giving you and not deviate too much from that. Okay, so we're going to start here. So we have the Dancer with self-expression and strength. We have the Queen with determination and sacrifice. We have the Masquerade with hiding your true self and projection. We have the Guide with inheritance and correction. And we also have the Enchanter in reverse with deception and trickery. Okay. There's a lot of energy here. There's a lot of passion. I think there's something you want and you're willing to work through it and go with the motions of give and take. So if there's something you want, you understand that, yes, you're getting something out of this. So for that reason, you kind of have to give a little back, because there's a balance to everything. There's a pull and a push, and you understand that you have to ride that wave. There's definitely passion here. This is about something you're passionate about that you enjoy. I think if you're wondering if it's kind of a misleading thing or something that's almost too good to be true, this isn't the case. I think it will be a case of you expecting something bad to happen because that's what you're used to, but that won't actually be the truth. It's more about insecurity rather than the actual truth of what's going on. With this situation, I think you're going to be getting really good news, especially with the Guide, with that bell, with an announcement of some kind. You're getting some good news and it's going to up-level you and put you into a really good position of security and safety. Okay, so we also have stagnation in reverse. We have attachment in reverse. We have awe in reverse. We have validation. And we have resilience in reverse. Okay. So I think something to note here is whatever this announcement is, for whatever reason, you expected it. You knew it was coming. With validation, you knew. And you're not impressed. You're not happy with it, whatever it is. It's almost like, for example, okay, I don't know if anyone's watching Love Island. I don't like Love Island. I just want to put it out there. I don't support it. But whenever I hear through the grapevine that it's a good season, I will go and check it out. But all in all, I think it's so bad for everybody who ends up going on that show. It's not good for them. But it's not good for their, well-being. But it was a juicy season, so I'm going to check it out, And it's almost like, how... Oh my god, I forgot her name. But there's a girl with Harrison and he keeps coming back to her and she's like, I knew it. And she's not happy about it because of course she wanted him to just know he liked her from the start, not mess her about, not mess anybody else about. And so she's disappointed, but she knew it. So it's almost like that, you're gonna get validation from whatever this thing is that you find out, but you're not necessarily happy about it. And that's also why we've kind of got these happy sad masks going on here, because it's almost like bittersweet. You're like, yes, I knew this was coming, but you're also like, but this is so annoying because if it had just happened a different way. So maybe that's also why we've kind of got that trickery, deception kind of coming up, because it's not that there's any trickery or deception. You're seeing the truth, you're seeing the honesty. It's almost like a trickery or deception has been exposed. And for that reason, it's really validating, but not necessarily a good feeling. But that this is something that got you feeling a lot and feeling heated, and it's put you into a better position. Maybe it's a secret that's come out that finally people can see the truth and they see what actually happened, or the truth will come out. If there's something that you're feeling like you've been painted out to be the villain, or you've been painted out to not be the victim in this situation when you actually were, it will eventually come to light, which validates you, but still makes you feel quite isolated and away, because this whole time no one believed you, no one was loyal to you. And for that reason, it puts you in a better position in terms of like, people can now see the truth of the situation, but you're very detached from them and from this thing, because it shouldn't have even escalated to this. And so you're moving on. But I think you're taking things internally. So you're moving on from the situation and from people, maybe isolating yourself from them in the name of moving on. But actually, what you're doing is harboring a lot of resentment rather than being resilient to the situation. Because you're still attached to all these things, even if you don't think you are. Even if you say, oh, I'm moving on, I don't care how this worked out, I don't care what people think of me, your feelings are still there. Even if you say that to yourself 100 times. And so for that reason, it's really hard for you to try and move on from this situation. We have the 5 of coins, or winter in reverse. Sorry, the 5? The 6. Sorry. The 6 of winter in reverse. We have the Knight of Spring. We have the Queen of Spring in reverse. We have the Lighthouse. And we have the Empty Cottage. Yes, there's something is going to be exposed. That's for sure. The truth of something is going to be revealed. There's going to be an announcement. It will be discovered. You're getting that so strongly and so clearly, especially with the Lighthouse and the Empty Cottage. But there's also a sense of isolation of this one lone person. There's also somebody in this cottage who's kind of trapped. And then we also had over here with the Oar card, they're standing there on their own in this big vast empty space. There's something about you might feel isolated from this situation, especially if you don't speak about how you're feeling or reach out to a confidant, but there might just not be a confidant. There just might not be one that you can trust. And so this is kind of throwing your emotions out of sync. And it's making you feel kind of away. But this is something you will recover from. But you just have to make sure that you are honest about how you're feeling. Not necessarily to anybody else, but to you. You need to be honest about how you're feeling. And learn from this situation. Even though it might not be a situation that you have to learn from in terms of if someone's done you wrong. This is very much a learning for them. But it's a learning for you as well, in the sense that you now know who you can trust, who you can't. You now know how to handle these situations, and you now know how you feel about this thing. And so there is something to learn there in that sense. And there's also like a sense of achievement of you no longer need to argue in this thing. You no longer need to put your energy towards it. Maybe that's why we were getting passion. You no longer have to funnel your energy towards this thing. So it's kind of like that's done and dusted, and you kind of hang your sword on your shelf. You're like giving up. You're like, it's done now, it's over, the battle's been won, which kind of frees you in a way. But I think forever you're kind of left with this wound of needing to... Where's the resilience card? You're kind of left with this wound of needing to validate yourself now every time there's an issue. So you want to make sure this trauma or whatever the situation is doesn't become a permanent fixture in who you are. That it doesn't leave a mark. Because you don't want to take the wrong lesson from this. You don't want to take whatever that person's lesson was, whoever this person is or this situation is. You don't want to take their lesson. You want to take yours. So yours is to, keep moving and keep trusting and enjoying your life and being happy and come out of your shell and talk about your feelings and don't let this hold you back. But theirs will, of course, be to learn from their bad behaviour. But I do just see an up-leveling for you in your position because of this situation, especially because of whatever this announcement is. I see an up-leveling for you. You're seen differently. It's almost like now you're noticed, but you're almost untouchable. Like these angels are just following around this person who's almost untouchable, especially over here with validation. No one's actually touching, but they're all reaching out to each other. It's kind of like you've cut yourself off from everyone in this situation, even those who are trying to make amends and reach out, and that's your choice. But that's just what we're seeing here. So allow yourself the grace and the time and the space to heal, even if that includes relying on the comfort of someone previously who maybe there was just a misunderstanding there. So maybe there's someone who took the side of whoever this person was that wronged you, but that's because they were given the wrong facts. So judging them based on the fact that they were given the wrong information might not be the best move, because now that they have all the information and they've made a better decision, surely that counts for something. And maybe just reflect, does that matter to you or does it not? Because if someone was given all this new information and still took the side of whoever this wrongdoer was, then of course that's not, someone worth hanging around. But if they change their tune, then maybe allow them the grace to recognise that they were human and they were trusting who they thought they could trust. But it's completely up to you. That's just the advice of the cards right now on your situation. So powerful. I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you felt drawn to any other piles, please feel free to check those out now. If not, I hope to see you here next week on Tuesday and Thursday for another reading on TìandTarot. Bye!